All right, let's ride. You're watching Golden State Warriors today by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. Hope all of Dub Nation had a great weekend and your weeks are off to a fantastic start. Another great show cooking up for you today. Going to take a look at some of the latest Warriors schedule news, some notable opponents that they're going to take on key dates, and one team in the NBA, according to reports, that could steal and pry away Jordan Poole from the reigning NBA champions. We begin with Shams Charania with some schedule news for Golden State. So a couple of big reports out there on Sunday night about some of these key dates, opening night as well as Christmas Day, scheduled for the NBA's 2022-23 opening night and ring ceremony on TNT. Guess what it's going to be, Dub Nation? Lakers at Warriors on October 18th. And then on Christmas Day, Warriors back in action, as many of us who do celebrate Christmas are going to be camped out around the tree, maybe a campfire, depending on if you have cold weather wherever you're from. Going to have an opportunity to watch your Dubs in action against a team that is increasing in terms of being a rivalry for the Warriors. It is the Memphis Grizzlies. So you look at the Christmas Day schedule: Bucks at Celtics, 76ers at Knicks, Suns at Nuggets, Lakers at Mavs, and then it rounds out with the Grizzlies on the road against the Golden State Warriors. So the Dubs, coming off the NBA championship, open up the season against the Los Angeles Lakers. And on Christmas Day, which is where the ratings really do increase, get to play host to the Memphis Grizzlies, a rematch of that second round Western Conference playoff series. And going into this year, they figured to be two of the top teams in the Western Conference once again. Now, I do want to ask you this, and I'm fascinated to see what your responses are going to be in the comment section. Which team do you dislike more? The Lakers, more of that traditional rival, or the newfound rivalry with the Memphis Grizzlies? Let me know down below in the comment section. MEM for the Grizz, LAL for the Lakers. If your answer is the Lakers, then we can do something about that. Why? How? You can subscribe to the channel so that Warriors Today overtakes and catches up to the Lakers Report with subscribers. It's a great battle. It's a great rivalry on the basketball floor and inside the walls here at Chat Sports. We've really started to close the gap. Let's do so even further. The easiest goal for us to do in terms of today's show, let's get the 45,000 subs, little more than 200 people away. So youtube.com/WarriorsTV, hit that red sub button down below. We continue to progress on today's Warriors Today with the latest around Jordan Poole. Some interesting stuff here, and we're going to read the tea leaves and look ahead into the future a little bit. According to a report out there, Jordan Poole could leave the Warriors for the Orlando Magic. And the financial situation the Warriors find themselves in now and what they're going to be in moving forward really is interesting, right? Because they might reach all-time highs in terms of the luxury tax, with their dollar figure coming in $400 million, paying for the entire team if they fork over some of these contract extensions. As for Jordan Poole's contract, here's a look at it right here. Eligible right now to sign a contract extension. Will the Warriors pay him now? Will they pay him later? We'll talk about that coming up around the corner in a few moments. But going into this year, he's a bargain if they don't sign him to that contract. Less than $4 million in base salary. Then there's a qualifying offer going into 2 years from now, 23-24, at less than $6 million. That too, a bargain. Then he becomes a restricted free agent in 2023. So there are really pluses for Golden State and their perspective because they kind of have him under team control and they can find a way to keep him on this roster. Now, he is eligible to receive that max deal, and according to reports, the Dubs have had some talks with Poole as well as his representation to find a way to continue this partnership for the former late first-round pick who has really developed twofold over the last couple of years and has become a very good offensive player and one of the more entertaining offensive players that we see right now in today's NBA. Now, I do want to pose you this as we continue to progress in this conversation. If the Warriors had to let one player go, is Jordan Poole the easiest guy to replace and let go when you have this conversation which centers around Jordan Poole as well as James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson? A couple of guys there and several guys there who could be due for big paydays moving forward. And if you wanted to keep some of them and you had to let some of them go or keep some and let go of some, is Jordan Poole easy to let go of and replace because of his value to this basketball team? Something to, of course, consider, and those are conversations that are being had within this Warriors front office. Here is that report and it came from an anonymous Eastern Conference executive on Heavy. I'd watch out for the Orlando Magic to be ready to make an offer if Jordan Poole is a restricted free agent, knowing there's a good chance Golden State is not going to match. So we're talking about next offseason in this particular scenario. They're going to establish something with Paolo Banchero in the front court, number 1 overall pick this past year, with his passing. But they're going to need a top-level perimeter scorer, too. And if you put Poole with Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, it's an exciting young team. And the Orlando Magic, when you think about it, do make a lot of sense. This is a roster that is going to be an interesting one to watch and a fun team, an entertaining team to watch this upcoming season. From a win-loss perspective, they're not going to make the playoffs, but they're going to challenge some really good teams in the NBA night in, night out, because they've been able to put together and construct a very solid basketball unit. Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac. They brought back Mo Bamba. They have Jalen Suggs. What are they missing here? An elite scorer, and that's where Jordan Poole factors into this equation. And if they play good basketball this year in 22-23, could they be ready to pry Jordan Poole away by giving him a monster contract, knowing he could be the scorer that puts them over the top? And for the Dubs on the other side of the equation, they could enter a predicament. Tricky territory here, financial distress, because they're going to have a tough time with a $400 million payroll. So tough decisions to make when trying to figure out, okay, we want to pay this guy, but if we do that, might have to let go of another player. Speaking of that type of decision, if you had to pick one of these two players, who would you pick moving forward for this organization? AW for Andrew Wiggins, the better two-way player, or JP for Jordan Poole, the better offensive player? Let me know. Embrace debate. Pick one to keep right now in the comment section. Do have a great deal we want to tell you about thanks to our friends at Fanatics. If you're still living in the glory and the excitement of the Warriors winning that NBA championship, this deal is perfect for you. This gold-blooded NBA championship shirt was $35. It's now available for just $14. Let me repeat that. Was $35, now on sale for $14. If you want this fresh Warriors championship gear to celebrate another Larry O.B. coming back to the Bay Area, you must use our link for that deal to apply, though. It's chatsports.com/goldblooded. Gold-blooded right on the shirt, gold-blooded right on the link. Simple enough. I'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video so that you can save money and support your Dubs. Continue the conversation with Jordan Poole. How much is he worth? He can realistically get $25+ million as an unrestricted free agent, or as a restricted free agent, another team could offer him a huge deal, knowing that the Warriors are not going to match because they literally wouldn't be able to match, as we covered back a couple minutes ago. The Warriors' predicament, the problem that they're in, they could pay up now and save money potentially, or because of their payroll situation, they could wait to pay Jordan Poole until after next year. The problem that you run into in that situation, if Poole goes off this year and he continues his development on that upward trend, then he'll get a bag. Then the Warriors would have to give him a max contract, or they simply would not be able to afford him. And that's where the Orlando Magic or another team out there could come into play. The same can be said for Andrew Wiggins, another team offering them the straight-up bag. As for Poole's growth, if he continues on this path, my goodness, he could be a max-level player. And you have to think about it from this perspective as well. NBA salary cap went up $10 million this past year, and it's going to continue to go up because this league has a lot of popularity worldwide. And you look at the growth that has taken place for Jordan Poole in his career 2 years ago, 2020, 2021, we're talking about a guy who was legit playing G League hoops, and then after the All-Star break, he came onto the Warriors roster and ended up making some plays, and people are like, yo, this cat has some wiggle. He can score a little bit. And then this past year was put into a larger role without Klay Thompson, and he certainly took advantage of those opportunities. 18.5 points per game, 45% shooter, 36% from three, and in the playoffs, he was a go-to guy. In those first two series, tailed off a little bit, but that's because the play of others in the Western Conference Finals and in the NBA Finals did become a little bit better. But you also felt that at points in the playoffs, Whether it be in these critical series or not, or in these critical moments, Jordan Poole came through with some really clutch buckets and helped bail the Warriors out in a couple of instances in which they really needed a big bucket for a guy to find twine. Grade Jordan Poole as a player. That's my last question for you before we hop on out of here, considering the conversation that we've had on today's show. Scale them for me from 1 to 100. Play the scout, let me know. And before we hop on out of here, once again, subscribe to the channel. Can we get the 45,000 subs with this video alone? Catch up to the Lakers report. YouTube.com/Warriors TV. Even easier for you. Just hit that red sub button when you do that. Turn on your noties. Therefore, when we push out videos, you'll be able to stay in the know with all things Dubs.